Is living in Myrtle Beach dangerous? Part 2. Dangerouser? Hi, my name is Lance McMillan. I am a realtor, and I help people learn about living in Myrtle Beach so when the time comes for them to buy a home, they are relaxed, informed, and they can enjoy the process. Today we're going to talk about some things that might concern some people about living in Myrtle Beach. This is a sequel to another popular video on this channel, and it's also a request. So if you hang around till the end of the video, you will find a link to the first video in this series. First up, wildlife. Wildlife around here can get kind of intense. There is a massive tract of blackwater swamp that stretches from Georgia all the way up to Virginia, and it sits right behind Myrtle Beach. Because most of the residential real estate in Myrtle Beach sits a short drive away from these wetlands, it's not uncommon to see some crazy stuff in your backyard sometimes. We already talked about alligators and sharks in the first video in this series. Again, link at the end of the video. Today I want to cover the rest of the menagerie, starting with snakes.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Well, there's a lot of them, that's why. Per the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, there are 38 species of snakes that live in South Carolina. 6 of those are poisonous. The eastern coral snake, the copperhead, the cottonmouth or the water moccasin, and 3 different rattlesnakes, the eastern diamondback, the timber rattler, and the pygmy rattlesnake. Now, there are all kinds of thumb rules and things you can find on the internet about how to tell if a snake is poisonous or not. Does it have pupils like a cat? Certain colors touching other colors? Does it have a dumbbell pattern on its back? I have a better rule. It's a snake. Why are you gonna mess with it? Now, if you see one, just understand that that snake is not out to get you. In a way, he's protecting your home. They keep mice and rats away. If you feel threatened by a snake, or if you discover a nest of snakes somewhere on your property, there are a number of wildlife relocation services in the area that can safely and humanely relocate the animals so they're not a problem for you anymore. The most famous one locally is the snake chaser. The snake chaser can be found online at thesnakechaser.com. That's what you need to know about our snakes. Now let's talk about our spiders. Again, per the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, there are around 600 species of spiders in South Carolina. Surprisingly, there are only 2 poisonous ones. I think God decided to cut us a break on that one, considering, everything else. Those spiders are the brown recluse and the black widow. And good news, the brown recluse has never been found in the wild here at Myrtle Beach. They only live in the mountains. That just leaves the black widow. To protect yourself against the aforementioned snakes as well as the black widow, check shoes and gloves that you've left outside before putting them on. Avoid sticking your hand in small spaces where a little critter can hide and nest. And stay out of tall grass unless you are appropriately dressed. They're out there. You can depend on it. Also out there, and in great numbers, the gray and the red fox. They are everywhere, including rooting around in my tomato garden last week. They live all around, and they are incredibly slick. If you ever think that you see one, he's already seen and heard you coming from a mile away, and
he's gone.
More rare, and also on the list of things that do a great job at only appearing on your security cameras at 3 in the morning, the coyote, the black bear, the bobcat, the Carolina dingo. Yes, as if there weren't enough critters around, we have our own dingo? Verdict: if you encounter anything that can bite you, give it space and don't corner it. It's more scared of you than you are of it. And given a chance, it'll run away. Next up, weather. We already talked about hurricanes in the companion video to this one. Again, link at the end. There is a lot to love about the weather here, but there are some things that'll get you if you are not forewarned. Springtime starts a little early here, right around the beginning of March. That's when the first issue starts up. Pollen. There's a lot of funny stuff on the internet about this. You're moving here from another part of the country that isn't as green as here, the pollen can easily be a problem for you. All of the pretty flowers and trees kick out massive amounts of pollen between mid-March and May. It can cover your house, your car. If you like opening your windows in the springtime, it's going to get in and it's going to get all over your countertops. It's going to get all over your blinds. And most importantly, it's going to wreak havoc with your sinuses if you're sensitive to it. Thankfully, a few well-timed spring showers can knock the pollen count down really well. But if that doesn't happen, things can get rough. If you're on allergy meds and you're moving down here, please make sure to get your prescription filled before you get here, even if it's not in the middle of pollen season. That way you don't have to scramble to find a doctor and get a prescription filled once you're here. That's springtime. Summer lasts basically forever, and it kind of bleeds into what you would expect fall to be. And that's awesome. And then comes the next item on the agenda, winter. Winter? Did I get that right?
This is crazy.
I know. It doesn't make any sense.
Winter's not a problem like it is up north, so we don't prepare for it like you do in the north. Now that makes sense in a way, until we get freezing rain or, God forbid, an ice storm. The issue isn't the storm itself, it's the roads. There aren't enough trucks and salt to go around in the event of a widespread icing. They can't spend a ton of money on all the salt and the trucks and everything and just have it sitting around for absolutely no reason. Until, of course, there's a reason. Now, don't get me wrong. If it does ice up, and it's not common, but if it does, they do a valiant job at keeping the main roads and the bridges clear of ice and safe to drive on. But it takes time. And sometimes they can't even get to the side roads until the ice storm is already passed and the ice is cleared up. Now, dead honest truth, half the people here are from up north. And that means half the people here know how to drive on ice. But the other half of the drivers have almost zero experience driving on ice. And regardless of that, it's hit or miss as to whether the road that you're on has been cleared or whether it's an ice skating rink for an F-150. You might be an amazing driver. You won't know whether the road that you're on has been cleared or not. You don't know if the guy in the car next to you can handle it like you can. Just like clockwork, there are accidents everywhere whenever there's ice on the roads. It sounds like it's being too careful, but trust me, it's not. If it's icing up out on the roads, stay home. Don't go driving unless you have to. Netflix is your friend. The verdict on weather issues: prepare for it beforehand. And whether it's pollen or ice, you can always spend the day inside if it's bad enough. The last thing that we're going to go over, driving around Myrtle Beach. There are a number of other issues with driving around here that would be kind of surprising for someone who's not from here. First up, the roads themselves. Now, it's really not oversimplifying that much to say that Myrtle Beach basically has two big roads. There's 501, which comes to and leaves the beach, and there's 17 that takes you up and down the beach. Every other road kind of complements those two roads and relieves traffic from them. Sounds simple, right? Problem here is really Highway 17. Highway 17 is stretched out over 50 miles and a dozen municipalities. You could be on the same road, not get off of the road, And then notice that the name of the road that you're on has changed like 6 times before you get to where you need to go. The Ocean Highway? The King's Highway? King's Road? Which 17 are we talking about? Is it 17 Business? 17 Bypass? Why does it say north and south when my car compass says I'm driving east and west?
I have no memory of this place.
And that doesn't even get into the fact that in a number of places there is a North 17 and a South 17, and you can travel both north and south on either one. Local tip: don't get hung up on the names of the roads. You will get confused. Once you've lived here for a little while, you will be able to get around with your eyes closed. It's incredibly simple. But until then, GPS is your friend. Now that we've talked about the roads themselves, I'd like to talk about some of the things you'll find on the roads. Golf carts and mopeds. Surely you can't drive those things on roads that are meant for heavy traffic, right? Right? Let me elaborate. A lot of the golf carts that you see around here are really nice. They're customized, tricked out, and honestly, they're not that far removed from being a smart car. Per cityofmyrtlebeach.com, they're restricted to secondary streets of 35 miles an hour or less, used in daylight only, and they're limited to a radius of 4 miles from where they live. And while they're not a problem for most other drivers on the road, you just have to remember to treat them like you would treat a motorcycle in traffic. Give them some room, don't crowd them, and understand they can't take a hit. Golf carts are more of an oddity than a problem. Mopeds, they're more of a problem than an oddity. Downtown with all the really nice hotels, you can find a bunch of different places that rent mopeds. Down there, it makes sense.
I can get 70 miles to the gallon on this hog.
But here's the thing. Again, per cityofmyrtlebeach.com, mopeds are restricted to 35 mile an hour tops, yet they can travel on any road of 55 mile an hour speed limit or less, which literally means there are only a handful of roads here in Myrtle Beach that they're not allowed to drive on. Downtown, that's fine. Again, it makes sense. But what about Highway 501 during rush hour traffic? What about Highway 17 at night in the middle of a rainstorm? You might say, Lance, nobody would drive one of those things in conditions like that. It would be way too crazy. And you would unfortunately be mistaken. For those of you watching this video who live in Myrtle Beach, please feel free to share your "I can't believe I saw that" moped story in the comments of this video, just so other people in the world understand and believe what I'm talking about. Mopeds in high-speed, heavy traffic can cause unexpected and sudden slowdowns, bottlenecks, and potentially dangerous driving conditions. Relatively rare, it's still legal, and you can see it. The verdict, especially when driving in tourist areas, keep your head on a swivel. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. As promised, the first video in this series is linked right on this screen. I am a Navy vet and a licensed realtor with Mango Homes powered by Keller Williams Myrtle Beach. I thank you for watching, and remember, whether you're buying or selling, go Mango.